Just a Thought, a show that starts with a simple premise and explores how different people view different subjects. The greatest philosophies, the most revolutionary changes, and the greatest inventions. And all of them started with just a thought.
Hello, hello, hello. We are live. Getting myself together. Waiting for a couple people to join in before we start talking. What's happening, good peoples? On this good Friday. You know it's late. It's been a lot happening. Just waiting for people to get in. It's been a long week, good people, but we made it and we're here. Been a long hot week. What's happening, Foxy 2, Roxy 3? Thank you for joining us this evening. And then I saw we had Mr. LC2U. He was here early, fixing him a drink, ready to join us for this conversation today. And, as we're talking about the tale of two cities here in the District of Columbia, I decided to go ahead and put on the poo shiesty, or the shiesty as it's called, because things get a little wicked and crooked around here. So, we just got to make it do what it do. And also, while we at it, let's give a shout out to the greatest producer in the world, Mr. Mickey himself behind the scenes, letting us shine on this good old 810 News Media Group. We're so happy to be here. So happy to be here.
For sure.
So, Mickey, how was your week, man? Check in with you.
Just working hard.
Man, are y'all? Y'all working real hard in Flint. Man, I'm trying to tell you, listen, I appreciate the work that you guys do, bringing it to the people and bringing it outside of the box, We wouldn't know what's going on without y'all, so it makes all the difference in the world.
I know. I'm going to sit back and enjoy and see what y'all feel tonight. Now let me get back and listen to y'all.
Oh, man. Well, tonight we going to talk about Honest Trip. She was out there visiting y'all, so she going to give us a little review of what it do out in the Michigan area. What's good, Eddie Gray? Hey, thank you for joining us. 704 Charlotte bound. Okay, now. I got family in Charlotte. I got family in Charlotte, too. I'm sure of it. I'm sure I'm black. I know I got family down there. What it do, Maria Carter? Thank you for joining us. Cassandra Scott. Okay, there go the 18th family. They coming on in. Had to get some things settled and squared away. But yeah, like I was saying, as you can see, Anna got on the good old Flint t-shirt, and she was out and about in Michigan for Juneteenth and seeing what it do. So we'll talk a little bit about that, right? And then we realized that we didn't really kind of give the full picture of why we're here. And what it means to say that you're from DC. But we'll get to that. Right now, we're welcoming the people. Mickey, we got reading challenges over here. I got full DC education. So could you give us a little bit of the people? Is that Regine? Please.
Once again. I do this just a couple times. Reverend Davis and David B, because y'all, they don't help me out though. I'm out.
Oh man, he want to leave me to struggle reading on my own. Okay, cool.
So,
I can do it
so
too.
Foxy Roxy said, "What's happening in DC?"
It's happening in DC, man, a lot. We gonna definitely get to it, Foxy. Thank you for asking. So
all right. So
on.
We'll do a little recap. First, I'm gonna thank the people. So I want to thank Miss Elizabeth Taylor Oh my gosh. As soon as I got in town, she reached out to me uh, and made me feel very welcome. Um, and of course, the second person is Mickey Jordan. Mickey was there the whole entire time. Let me just say that. My trip was for two things. Um, as you know, I've been following Flint for oh my god for a minute, but I've never been able to get to a council meeting. And so I said, this time, look at God. Well, I was able to make two council meetings. Um, and I didn't want to go to a council meeting because I wanted to see like the background of the council. I wanted to hear what the agenda, I wanted to read what the agenda was before, but they didn't get that agenda out right away. And then I wanted to see like from the people that live there, um, what's really going on. Not like when we're on the chat, but like literally get to talk to people that really live there. And I was able to do that. But what I was able to really do is that when I wrote my test, I was able to testify. And so I testified right here in the nation's capital, something I regularly do. But when we testify in the nation's capital, we write our testimonies down and we submit it, and then we can testify. They don't do that in Flint. You can actually go to the podium. You got 3 minutes, and you say your speech. But I always ask, how do they document or pretty much put it on the record that you testified and what you testified at that time when that council meeting was going. So my first time I testified, what I felt and what I noticed was when I first got there, they have this box that you put your name in. And I got there real early. And when I got there, I had walked into the building and I kept saying, man, I want to meet R.L. Mitchell. And gosh, man, let me tell you, Yogi, I got to meet R.L. Mitchell literally when I walked into the building. It was exciting. Oh my God, it was exciting. I walked to the left. To the right, it's like the clerk is, I don't know if it's the clerk or where you write in or you ask questions. And then to the left, it's like a room. And he was sitting and I walked in there and I was like, hey, R.L. Mitchell. And he said, hey, New York. And I said, why you always think I'm from New York? Why everybody think I'm from New York? I'm actually from New Jersey, but my family's Puerto Rican straight from New York. Make a long story short, I said, we gonna go upstairs, and he said, yeah. So we get upstairs, and it felt so good to meet, to be able to walk up, get up on that elevator, but really be with a person that really goes to all the council meetings. R.L. Mitchell, as y'all know, is at every council meeting from years and years back. And when I got in there, he went upstairs and he knocked on some door, and two ladies came out. They gave him a bunch of snacks. And when I gave him a bunch of snacks, he said, can you record me? And I said, you want me to record you? And so he sat down, and I'm going to show that to y'all on another time because he had some real nuggets in his thing that I recorded him. We was there for 15 minutes. He kept saying, and then I said, before I could say, are you ready to stop? He said, okay, I'm ready to stop. And the stuff that he shared, some people be thinking R.L. Mitchell ain't got it all. R.L. Mitchell has it all together, because the things that he said in his 15 minutes on me recording him were historic, was very knowledgeable, and it was real. So when we start walking in, that's when reality hit. And I'm not trying to be funny. When you walk into that council room, it's an energy that is not a normal energy. I can tell that. I felt something when I walked in. So you go on the side and you read, you pick your agenda, and you sign in. So when I went to go sign in, it was like they opened up the door at 5 o'clock. Actually, 5:05 is when they opened up the door. They tell you you're supposed to sign before 5, but the door didn't open up till 5:03. It was me, Miss Taylor, and RL that walked in. And people were coming in, and people were signing in, but not everyone got to sign in, and they snatched that box. And I was like, why are they snatching the box to Miss Taylor? She said that's what they do. They take the box before people all could sign in. And I said, well, that's not right. I think Miss Beverly Biggs didn't get to sign in, and the gentleman, I don't know his name, Caucasian male, he didn't get to sign in either. And they were irritating, but I could understand why. You come, you want your voice to be heard. but you're not able to sign in because they done took the box. And it was a lady that she sits all the way in the front next to Davina, long hair, brunette, white lady. But she takes the box and she's told to take the box. So when I sat down, I knew I was the second person to speak. But before we got to speak, they had went into sessions where they stopped talking. They had stuff they had to take in the back. Just in those 5 minutes that I was sitting there, the confusion that Mushat was causing, it wasn't nobody else. She had went to the back. She had got upset, closed the meet. They didn't get to finish the meeting in the back, came out. She didn't want the next meeting to go on. And as residents sitting there, you're already mad because you didn't get to sign in, but we haven't even really started the meeting. So my testimony, pretty much, I sat there, had already had a testimony written out, and I was like, nah, I need to write about something else. So I sat there, started messing with my phone, and I wrote about your right to speak, your democracy, your freedom your freedom to be able to speak, but your right to be able to talk back to the people that are supposed to represent you, but with respect. I will say that, with respect, but no one should be told they have to stop talking while they're talking. And that's what I noticed. I did not get any of that, be quiet, or you can't say this, because I knew that they were on fire. I knew that they were ready. You could feel the energy in the room. So I knew, I said, my purpose, I asked God when I came down to Flint, I said, my purpose is to say what I need to say, that you want me to say, and what I feel needs to be said, can't even talk right. And that's what I did. And even that day, I witnessed a lot. I witnessed that first time, and I think that was Thursday. So Thursday, I witnessed the Caucasian male, I can't remember his name. I had just went to the bathroom, came out of the bathroom, and I seen how they handled him, how the police were pulling him in the elevator. I saw Jason recording. You could see the white gentleman talking real loud, but he was upset. Also, I can't remember the other female that was with him. She's actually the next person they got hurt that same time. I can't think of her name. I'm sorry, y'all. If y'all remember her name for me, she's the one that actually got hurt when the police body slammed her. I can't remember her name. Lord forgive me. But I was talking to her when they took the Caucasian guy downstairs, and I was talking to her. She was like, "Thank you for testifying." I said, "No, so thank you."
Mr. LC2, you said is Miss Savage.
Oh, Miss Savage. That's right, Miss Savage. So me and Miss Savage were talking in the hallway, and she was thanking me for coming. I was thanking her, and I did not know she was a Flint resident. We didn't get that far in talking, so I said, well, let's go back in. So we went back in because she was a little hurt about what happened to the guy. She's like, this happens all the time. So she went back in. She sat down. I sat back down, but I made sure that wherever I sat, I wasn't sitting next to people talking. I will say when I first got in, I had the young group, the young little girls. I think her name's Miss Flint, was sitting in front of me with the little girl, 3 years old, that she testified with. I moved myself from them when I knew, because they just kept targeting that area. Miss Taylor had left, and I decided to move myself and sit where I wasn't next to nobody. So if someone said I said something and I'm not next to nobody talking, I mean, I didn't want to be, to tell you the truth, I knew I'm from out of town. I'm sitting there. They're waiting for me to say or do anything to go against what their plans are. So I stayed quiet, and I was really listening to what they were fighting. And I'm telling you, exactly like y'all see when we're watching is exactly how it is in person. That those other four, Ward 1, he don't say nothing. I don't even know why he's even in position. He does not speak. He does not, even when things aren't right with him, he does not say anything. He just sits there and he slumped down. Ward 2, who y'all already know, Liddell, and Ward 4 and Ward 7, a mess from the beginning to the end. Liddell starts throwing shade towards Tanya Burns while we're up there talking about her having a 3-hour podcast, saying nasty stuff. And it sets off Miss Savage. Miss Savage says something which she has a right. And I feel if you say something, uh, in your seat to yourself, or you say it a little loud, okay, that's fine. It might be, okay, can we have order? But what they did with her was totally different. It was warning, warning within 2 seconds. She didn't even take a breath before she got her second warning.
I wanted to say right quick,
Go ahead.
hello to people who came in on this conversation. What you call this honor, giving her view of her coming to spend some good time with the people of Flint, up close and personal. We got Tara in the building. That's our good friend in DC. Hey sis, how you doing? She said, Anna, you want to make sure I'm reading it verbatim. Your testimony was great, Anna. That's what she was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
and then we want to say what's up to Wanda Smith for joining us, and Berta Baby. Go ahead.
Ziploc. Candace clearly is out of order. Yes, Candace is out of order. Make a long story short, that's when all hell broke
Good evening,
loose.
H-Bag.
Miss Savage was taken out. She didn't even get past the like when you're walking out of there. I watched the whole thing. I will say the Thursday took a toll on me in my chest. I will say it hurt me to the core. And I was just to myself wondering, like, I would say this, the difference in treatment of people when they're being escorted out. Some people are allowed to be escorted out, put on the elevator, but for some people, they automatically getting their hands cuffed or pushed or whatever, or screamed at, or assuming that they are up to no good, and that's why they should be handled the way they are. So that was Thursday's experience. She was, which everyone knows, she was, which everyone's seen the video, so I don't need to get into all of that conversation. That's a lot to talk about. I got up and I was done. I was done. Ended up going back to my hotel room and asked Mickey, where is a place we, to go in here, kind of take a breather, because it took a toll on me. I had my girlfriend was there from DC. Yvette came with me. She didn't come to council because she's actually from Michigan. And we went to the White Horse? Mickey, what is that, the White Horse? We went to White Horse. I think that's
I'm not for sure. Let me go.
We went to White Horse and ate some good pizza, but it was hot as hell in there. They had no air. But the pizza was good.
And she said, hey.
Oh, but the pizza was good. Pizza was good. And then I went on to sleep. Went on back. Went on back. And when I got back, this is before Friday, so this is Thursday night. When I got back to my room, we had got back late, so they told us we had to drive our car into the garage. And this is where it gets a little crazy for me. I was trying to figure out, I'm paying for a valet, but I was wondering why the young boy did not want to drive my car in the garage. Then I found out real quick. So when I pull into the garage, there's cars. I guess y'all power must have went out in Flint. Y'all must have had a flooding and power outage. So what it did was it put the garage across the street from the Hilton, where the gate wouldn't go down. So the young kids were in. And so when I pulled in, I was going up, and it was like 5 cars behind me. And I moved out the way because they were flying up that garage and trying to see where I could park. And I was like, man, the last thing I need is someone to hit my car. I'm all the way from out of town. So I parked my vehicle. Make a long story short, we and my friend got out the car, and we went back into the hotel. And I was like telling the guy, I said, I know why you ain't want to go in there. He said, yeah, them kids were arrested the day before because they were up there partying. He said, they back in there again. I said, is my car okay? He said, yeah, it should be okay. I ain't believe that. But anyway, went back in the hotel, looked out the window. And it was about 50 kids, Yogi G, 50 kids on top of the roof. I mean, they was partying. You could hear the music. These kids, they probably looked like between the ages of 17 to about 22. And I thought about it, right? And I'm sitting there and I said, well,
that sound like U Street for us.
Pretty much. I thought about it and I said, now, my old self, because of my generation, call the cops on them, right? Because they don't need to be up there tearing stuff. But
Not
then my
affiliated with
second,
that thought.
but then that's my thought.
We're not affiliated with that thought.
But then my younger side
Okay, now we back. Go ahead.
said, well, why are they doing that? Because they ain't got shit to do. They ain't got crap to do. They ain't got crap to do. I'm driving around Flint. I'm like, well, where is there for the Flint youth to do anything? So what they're doing is actually trying to meet up and have fun. Socialize.
Yeah.
But I still was worried about my car because I am an old head. That's reality. So, make a long story short, I took the images and stuff, and that's when I came up with. I said, well, when I come back to council on Monday, I said that's what my testimony is going to be about. Exactly what I do right here in the nation's capital, advocate for youth, and that's a huge thing for me. And then the next day was Friday. I had a great old time. Went to Jackson, Michigan. That's a whole other day to talk about. I'm only going to talk about Flint. I'm not going to talk about what I did that weekend. Then I came back on Monday. And when I came back on Monday, I just came back from Detroit. If y'all ever go to Detroit, y'all got to check out this soul kitchen called Fixin' Kitchen. Oh, my God, that joint is the bomb. I get back. Yvette drops me off. I run into the council meeting. And I go to sit down. And I think I was number 13 because it was 15. It was literally 15 cards signed, and I was number 13. They called either I was 12. I can't remember. All I know is that after me, someone else testified, and then the last person they didn't call a number.
So,
and
can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
Before we, when we transition to telling people about what correlates with DC, what made you decide that you wanted to, as an outsider, I know that's a big thing in Flint, but as an outsider, what made you decide that you wanted to go in there and testify? And what did you think was going to come out of that?
Well, you got 3 questions up in that joint. Okay, so the first question, what made me? Because it's personal, Yogi. It's personal. The same thing that's happened to us here in the nation's capital that a lot of people don't understand. We got the same exact thing. Actually, we had what Flint has going through now. We have been through it before. And so it kind of like, it's like we've been through it. We're still going through it. And so because a lot of people, when they're going through, they don't see a solution. They just see the problem. And a lot of times ignorance plays a factor in the way we communicate with each other. So we fight with each other, we big with each other. We don't really know what's going on. We just assume. We really don't know everything that the council's really doing because we're so mad that we're focusing on our pain. But when you get to where we are, where we've lived through it and we have learned that your voice matters, and when you use your voice and it's documented stuff, people come, people will help. I'm not saying it happens overnight. It can happen. It may take a while, but I'm telling you, the power of a testimony is a real thing. That's how I was. I'm Generation X. That's how I was raised. You testify. You write down your thoughts. When you speak at a what do they call it? Come on, what y'all call it in Flint? With Liddell, when they scream at you every time you get up to the, what we call it, a podium. They call it something else. The lector? Is it the lector, what they call it? But anyway, when you go up to that thing is so powerful, in my opinion, that so many great people that have lived and passed on have literally used a mic or testified or was outside. I mean, you look at Eric Mays. You can just look at Eric Mays, how he used to talk with his what you call that thing?
Bullhorn.
Bullhorn. Your voice is very powerful. And all I'm saying is that when you're asking that last question, did I think it would work? Yes. Because I will say this. When you testify, you have an order of what's going on. They can go back on the record and see things they missed. Sometimes you got to educate your council members. Sometimes you got to remind them things. But if you're up there and I'm not saying everyone can do this, but if you can jot down the very things that you're going through, and I'm talking about in DC, anywhere, jot down the things that matter, the things that are on the agenda, read it, research it, and then speak about it in a podium to remind them. It does work, because guess what? Someone else is going to hear, it's going to pass on. And like we do with social media, we pass things on. And prime example, I testified, and right after I testified, I went to go sit down, and that's when the chaos all started with the young lady in the back and the mom. And I was right next to it when it happened. And I was walking to the back when they were taking the young lady. I literally was right next to her. I actually spoke to her in the bathroom. I was washing my hands, and I was trying to crack a joke with her, because I love to crack jokes. And Yogi G, I said to her, is it safe to wash our hands in this water? She said, I don't even know where it's safe to wash our hands with this water. That's exactly what she said to me. And that's how I met her. And then the second time for me is when they were taking her out. They literally walked up to her. She didn't say jack. And they cuffed her. They literally cuffed her. And I will say, I have to hold myself back from trying to replay that moment, because it took a toll on me. I'm not used to that. I haven't seen that in years. I know what it feels like when they try to take your voice. They beating you up. They cussing you out. They locking you up. I've been locked up for arguing with someone, and they lied, protecting myself. Reality is, I walked back there, and it was Jerry Whiffrey Carter, it was Tanya Burns, and it was Dennis. Actually, Dennis was the first one back there talking to the police, telling them, you don't have a right to do this. And that cop said out of his mouth, he said, I have a right to do whatever I want to do. Out of his mouth. Dennis shook his head, and I said to Jerry Whiffrey Carter, how come this stuff does not go viral? How come this stuff does not go viral? I literally said that out my mouth. Not because I want your views or I want your likes, because somebody might see something and might come and send help. And I will say this. I posted. I took my phone and I said to Jerry Whiffrey Carter, I said, I pray that when I turn this on, because that evil that I see in that cop's face and the fear that I see in that girl's face, I said, I pray this goes viral. I literally turned my camera on, because people were recording everywhere.
What's happening with Joe Green? Thank you for joining us.
So I videotaped 2 seconds. And what you can see in that video of 2 seconds is the pain in that girl's eyes and the fear she had. And it's something, when you look at somebody when they get locked up, it's a different type of look. Mm-hmm. And so it took a toll on me. It took a toll on me. I had to leave out of there. I literally, when they took her down, the 3 council people went down to the basement, and I went back to my hotel. Well, actually, I went outside. Miss Taylor turned around and came to pick me up, because as y'all know, Miss Taylor testified, and they told her she had to leave. And I was hoping that she got out of there for the police. But what the police did to her was they were trying to make her get on the elevator. She said, I ain't getting on no elevator, because Flint has a history of when black men get on it. It's what she said, not what I said. When they get on the elevator, they get beat up. So she said, I'm going down the steps. So the cops didn't follow her down the steps, and she left. So when I got downstairs, she called me, and I said, I'm leaving. I'm about to walk back to the Hilton. She said, oh, no, you're not. Miss Taylor came back and picked me up. But before she got back, I was able to meet a couple people outside. I met Art Woodson. I met Beverly Biggs, and that was exciting. I met Deborah Luna when I was outside. But I had to leave because the pain that I felt was real, and I haven't felt something like that. And so when I say I want to be an advocate, and I'll eventually move when God moves, because I tell you, not everyone's an activist. People use that word broadly. When I said I want to move to an activist, am I ready to feel that stress, that depression, and that hurt in my chest? Am I ready for that? Am I really ready for that? And I had to go back. I got to my room, spoke with my girlfriend. I had to take me a quick shower because it was like 100 and something degrees. Put the video back on, finished watching 810, and I had to relax myself because it was a lot. It was a lot. I don't pray that on nobody. Even for the people watching, it should have been a lot. And if you didn't feel nothing, like Liddell laughing up there, something wrong with you.
So, Anna, let me stop you for a second, please. We got to let the people talk, man. Mark Hutchinson said, Anna, D.C. had a black mayor named Marion Barry, MS in chemistry and head of SNCC. Flint got a black mayor, Neely. Can I explain the difference and why Barry is beloved? Do you want us to explain why he's beloved to us, or you want to explain it, Mark? We're going to give you a second to answer that. And while we at it, we want to say what's up to Common Sense. We had a few people come through while Anna was giving us her review, and we just want to make sure we say good evening to all who joined us at this good 7 p.m., because it's not easy. It's Friday. It's been a long day. And so... Oh, Anna explain. So Anna, you explain.
Oh, now Mark Hutchinson, I'm gonna flip it to the native Washingtonian. I could tell you my spiel, but I'm gonna go to the native Washingtonian first.
So let me help you, Mark. Let me help you initially. So DC is a transient city, right? And just like they do talk about sometimes in Flint about how natives feel about outsiders coming in, it is sometimes our gripe that people don't fact check whether or not people were born and raised in the District of Columbia, because it makes a difference, the experience that you have. And so for me, Marion Barry is the first mayor that has actually came and did things for the people. And so that's why we so hung up on it. I know what the stories say. That B set me up is a tagline that will forever live on DC history. And yes, we know the man had issues, but who don't, right? But what he's done for us is made sure that Black people had opportunity to be on the forefront of success, have the skills, have the things, the tools that they need in order to make it in the District of Columbia. And what we also know as being a millennial on this show, he started our summer youth employment program, which was a big deal because we didn't have anything to do as youth. We were just kind of lingering around and not making things happen. And so that's why we love, from my generation, Marion Barry. You got any thoughts for that on him?
So read his question back.
He said, DC had a black mayor named Marion Barry, and he had an MS in chemistry and head of SNCC. And then Flint got a black mayor, Neely. Can you explain the difference on why Barry is beloved?
So we gotta go back to that book too.
Which book?
Dream City.
Talk about it.
So that's gonna be another day because that's a deep conversation. Yeah, I would say that we're gonna really dig in that because I'm a person that when I talk about something, we have to build on facts, not our emotions. As a thought, go ahead.
So Mark said exactly, and SNCC is Student Nonviolent Coordinated Committee, right? And then Marion Barry fought for the people, man. Like before we got home rule, because let's step back for a second. So for those who don't know, the District of Columbia is in Washington, D.C., right? It's a tale of two cities, honestly. Everybody comes and they visit and they want to go to the monuments and they want to go see the Capitol, but rarely do people come through to the space that makes DC DC. And so by us being in the nation's capital, you'll see on our license plate a little thing called taxation without representation, which means that while we are there, we have no vote in the capital. And actually our budget, even though we have a mayor, we have a council, and we got all chains of power, we still don't have the final say in how our dollars are spent or even how much we need. We got to pretty much present it to council to get a yay or nay from them as to whether or not we can run the city with all the things that we need in order for us to get every resident.
I'll say this, Mark. Has Flint ever had a mayor that was good to the people, but the people didn't want that mayor no more? Is there an example of a mayor that Flint had that was good to the people, but some people, I mean, in every city, Marion Barry, you could touch on this. When Marion Barry, what was the reason for his last term?
What you mean?
Before, because he remember he became our council. Well, he was my councilman for Ward 8 when I lived in Ward 8. But when he was mayor, why wasn't he mayor no more?
What's happening, Sherry Allen? I mean, first and foremost, it's a difference in opinion. Everybody has a difference of opinion about his last term as mayor and how he was operating. I don't know.
Oh, you said Mayor Stanley.
Mayor Stanley.
Yeah, he's saying in Flint there was a Mayor Stanley, and I've heard a little bit about Mayor Stanley. I would love to hear more about Mayor Stanley, but I feel sometimes good mayors, like I feel Marion Barry was good, but all mayors have their ups and downs.
But that's another kind of. Just because they were black didn't make them a great mayor. It just made that they had a little closer experience to what the things that we were saying that we needed and weren't happening that could determine whether or not they go hard for the need of the community. We got a black mayor now. I call her King Cooper Bowser because I don't have no loyalty and I'm not employed by the lady, okay? And maybe if I do become employed by the lady, I'll feel a little different about it. Probably not. But we got a black mayor, we got a predominantly black council, and they eating our ass up. Can I cuss on here? My apologies. If there's any Christians on here or anybody that's offended, my apologies. But it's a thing to go through. We're dealing with gentrification here. Our education system, while it's maybe better than most cities and states, we are still struggling. We got children that are at a major deficit in the most poorest areas of our city. Ward 7 and 8 are at a major deficit for reading and math compared to our Caucasian counterparts. It's trash. But everybody thinks that just because we're the nation's capital, we're excelling for some reason, and that's not the case, you know?
Some, but not all.
Yeah, y'all got one of our stepkids over in here running amok in y'all council now. So
you talking about Lindell?
Yeah, man. So like,
you see, she got kicked out of PG County politics. You know she ain't no good, but
yeah. So I think that like people understanding that even though it's the nation's capital, we are no different in the things that we're challenged with than cities of Flint and probably half of the other representations in this 810 chat. If you really think about it, just from being black and brown communities, the playbook is the same, but the cast in the area is just changed. That's all. So you want to tell them about our layout from the city?
You could go out with the layout first, because I'm gonna let. Just like they call us the outsiders when we talk with Flint, I said sometimes I'm considered. I've been here 30 years.
Now you're taking the easy way out because you the elder. You live like.
Sometimes they say I'm the
trans. Want to try to get me to explain it? No, elder. I'm gonna sit here and hear what your perspective is of what the layout of DC is. Listen.
What's the old layout? What's the new layout?
What's the layout to run a business? What makes us have the same? Why are we on 810? What drew you to 810 about the things that we dealing with?
Well, I mean, the thing that drew me to 810 was the water, and the water was the.
Have we dealt with that?
Yes, we have dealt with the water. Actually, we're the first ones to deal with the water. Before actually Flint, we were. Was it 2004? Don't want to give wrong information, but in 2004, we had lead exposure, our pipes, and they're still to this day, even where I live, the pipes have not been fixed. And it's how many years? 2004 to what, we about 2025? And depending on what neighborhood, so east of the river, which is considered Ward 7 and Ward 8 in DC, and you look at the areas where predominantly black people lived at, and even brown people were more like Columbia Heights area, we all had poisoning on our paint and in our water. The difference was that I feel that the people that we had in position, and I guess because we're so close to federal government, because literally we're not a state, they were here, you couldn't hide that what was going on. But what you can do by not hiding and fixing is taking forever to fix the need. So you already know what's going on, what's been going on, and I feel that's what's about to happen to Flint, or is already happening to Flint.
So
We have been gentrified out.
To be more specific, what she's talking about is just in 2023, we had our Attorney General sued Pepco, which Pepco is our electric company. And the title of this article is Pepco Settles DC Chemical Dumping Suit for $57 million. Because they were dumping in the Anacostia River, which is predominantly borderline of poor neighborhoods in the District of Columbia, Ward 7 and 8, which means that these things were dumping off into our water system for God knows how long. But the city squashed the beef because they got $57 million. The only problem is we, as the people who are potentially impacted by that, don't know where that money is going to. They haven't told us whether it's being reinvested into the community. They haven't told us whether we need to be lining up to see if we turning the light bulbs. They ain't told us nothing. Except for we got $57 million back to the budget, which we currently, Yvette is in the scene. We currently,
when you done, Marie,
are at a deficit. Go ahead.
So Yvette Selby, my buddy from DC. She's actually from Michigan, but she lives in DC. Most cities with older homes have lead service lines. Since this is on personal property, it's very costly to repair. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so even currently where I live at right now, we got letters from the water, and it's up to if I can afford or actually have to fill out to be able to get assistance to pay for my pipes. If you don't own the home, then you got to hopefully see if the landlord or where you live at, unless it's new development.
So we got Foxy to Roxy who's here, and she's from the Great Ward 8, and she's from Marbury Plaza. She says, our present mayor feels nothing for us. And she says, feels nothing. She said, I'm in Ward 8 and I'm in the building. He used to live on the same floor, 9th floor around the corner from me. I'm sorry. Right now we have no management. Pipes are terrible, and half the time we don't have heat or air. Oh, Marbury Plaza.
Yeah.
But it's sad because, like, once again, people would think that things like this would happen in the District of Columbia or Washington, D.C., right? But we're absolutely going through these things. But once again, who do we go to? We got a council that sends us in circles, and then when they try to shoot it up the ladder for approval from the federal government, they're like, DC who? DC what? Like, no.
We currently, right now in DC, I went to a meeting, and it was the office attorney general was there to, they come out to the community and the people talking. This lady was talking about in her building, she's been advocated, she's been harassed. She says she's been targeted. CPS has been called on her. And all she's doing is reporting that in her building that's less than 10 years old, that the sewer is coming back in her bathtub all through the building, that there's yellow stuff coming out of the sink. And every time she has tried to fight to advocate, she has been harassed. And when you look at that, that's happening, and she has for years have been fighting this, and you think about the people that are with her. She ain't the only one going through it, but she's the only one talking, because I feel like it's same in Flint. They try to shut you down. If you get yourself a little 501c3 and to shut you up, to give you a little couple of dollars, and you can buy you out so you can shut up. But in reality, you still got to live with that. And
so then we put a name on it. So if this experience is happening in areas, right, we have basically the same experience, but we name specific to Flint, right, because this is A10, that we have similar experiences in the nation's capital. We know it's happening in other areas like West Virginia. They just went through a water crisis. And there's other areas that are having these specifics in poor neighborhoods. Like, what do you put a name to it, right? Most people would say it's gentrification. I've always heard that word, but never looked at the official definition, right? I had an understanding for it. So today, I'm using my Professor Chat. Okay, Professor Chat said that gentrification is a complex and often controversial process where historically disinvested or lower income urban neighborhood undergoes transformation due to an influx or of more affluent residents and investments. Man, it don't get no more prevalent than DC, boy. When I say we being pushed out, I mean you can try to find you a place that's affordable. It's not gonna happen unless you coming in with the resources. So key characteristics. How do you know that you just might be experiencing gentrification? Well, it says you will see rising property values and rents, and homes, apartments, and businesses become more expensive, pricing out current residents. Two, you'll see a demographic shift, which long time, often working class black or brown communities are replaced by wealthier, often white residents. You may see cultural displacement, which looks like local shops, food spots, and traditions are replaced by boutique stores, luxury housing, and chain stores. Man, listen, you go down in Saratoga over off 8th Street and stuff like that, it looks like a whole new band of jam. You blink a couple of times, you might think you're in Georgetown, but you gotta blink pretty fast. Just make sure you catch the white people. But anyway, so those are a few things to help people identify whether or not your city or state may be experiencing gentrification.
Or another way they do it is not fixing anything. So what happens is people leave because they're tired. They abandon their houses, and then they get what they abandon their houses. They don't fix it. Then they start putting fines. Start telling you if you don't cut your grass. Of course you're not there because you done left because you can't drink the water. Your house breaking apart. You ain't got no funding. So then they take over, and they'll wait until it could take 10 years before they do it. It could literally take 10 years. That's all they need. Wipe up a whole area, and then you turn around and everybody's like, yes, they just put a new business in our neighborhood. Yeah, but you don't know why that business is there. Because believe me, when you start seeing chain restaurants and chain grocery stores coming, they have had a plan for a long time.
The only reason that we're highlighting these things in DC is because everybody comes to DC, and either they want to come and visit or they want to come and live the Washingtonian experience. And it is costly to play here in DC, even if you're a resident, right? And I just want to make sure that people have a full view of what it takes to be a DC resident, or even just like when you're coming, where you put your dollars at matters. A lot of people go instantly to like Georgetown and places like that. We don't see those dollars. If you're going to spend, come over to our side of town. Come over into the Ward 5s and the Ward 7, Ward 8. Ward 5 a little wealthy, man. But, spend the dollars in the community and stuff like that. I did also want to highlight this, right? So a lot of people will be like, why do the DC native have such a gripe against somebody who's transient? And Professor Chat explained it beautifully, right? I asked Professor Chat, what's the probability of a DC native being able to sustain versus a transient native, right? And this is DC transplant, especially college educated, higher income individuals are statistically more likely to sustain a life in the city than many lifelong DC natives, particularly Black and low income residents. And this is due to rising living costs, systemic inequities, gentrification, and displacement trends. Right now, it says the median household income of a DC native is $49,000 for Black households, and that was as of 2022, right? Compared to your transplant resident who comes in with $136K, and that's for white households alone. What you think about that, Anna?
You talking about the last part?
The median household income.
Oh, the median household east of the river is like 42 to 52,000, and in our neighborhood where we live, don't mean I got them dollars. It's between 104 to 108,000. But you know where that comes from.
Inequities in education.
Inequities in education.
Right, because we're not properly educated on how to
Well, you look at to bring up Flint. Flint has what? I don't know how many high schools does Flint have? Or access to special, access to different things. It's not that much, but in Ward 7 and Ward 8, it's the same thing. Ward 7 has no hospital. Ward 8 has a somewhat functioning hospital. One walk-in grocery store, which is giant. You go into Ward 5 where we live at, I got about 7 grocery stores and 4 hospitals.
Farmers markets,
I got 4 hospitals I can walk to from where I live, literally.
Woodrow said there's one city school in Flint.
Wow.
That is...
Well, we have school choice in DC, and we still don't even have equality.
It's like 269 schools?
269 schools. You have all the options, but guess what? In my opinion, and which has been proven, if they know enough rotating tax dollars in that community, that school ain't getting all the needs that it needs to have. That means there's not enough staff, not enough people in position to work in those schools. And so those, what ends up happening, the kids east of the river travel uptown. Literally travel uptown.
Yeah.
Literally one high school. That is, so if everybody's going to one high school and then the ones that have money, would they go into the one private school? That is horrible.
Yeah. For us, even though we have school choice, as Anna said, our children have to travel pretty far. And it's causing a conflict in our city because now that means that the haves don't have anywhere to put their babies. So now it's really problematic because they're just like, well, if you got school buildings and we giving you schools over in your communities, why y'all not staying in your communities?
Why y'all not staying?
And we keep saying, yeah, we got schools, but not all of them are quality schools. And we want quality and we want access to the same programming that you give uptown. And they're like, yeah, we hear you. Baby steps. Baby steps. But baby steps for a person who is trying to make a home in the District of Columbia, and you're dealing with the circumstances that I just named as your resource of how you show up in status, then how can you wait for baby steps for your child to be educated if you don't have the access to be able to get the money that's going to help you get them into the good spaces, right? Like, it makes a difference. And it says here that the occurrence, so this is like from the data that says the reality of many DC natives is that rising housing costs have outpaced wages for native DC workers. Gentrification has forced over 20,000 Black residents to leave since the early 2000s. And even those who make it, air quotes, often support family members or live far from job hubs. And their success is often defined by survival, staying rooted despite rising costs. We fighting for our lives. Everybody loves DC, and so do we, but we can't afford to stay here. And that's problematic, especially to the point made earlier when we got a Black mayor who tells us how she loves being Black. So much so she took some of our tax dollars and spray painted Black Lives Matter on the front as a message, a love note to Donald Trump. And now guess what? That same project just got dug up, sanded up, and you never see it again, right? And then another trip is we just had a whole, we have people in the city who tried to do a demonstration on Black Lives Matter Plaza, and they couldn't. They wouldn't let them step foot on it. So that shows you how much our mayor, being Black, loves us.
What about the encampment? The homeless people was the first thing.
Oh man, listen, if love looks like this, I don't want it. Our mayor decided that our homeless population was an eyesore because they like to encamp in safety around like the Capitol and Union Station and like that. And so she placed the order where everybody had to go. And so literally, if you look up this news article, she had the encampments bulldozed. They went down there, got everybody out, used the bulldozers to scoop up the tents that were over there. And one of them got missed. Still had a gentleman in it. So to this day, we still have an article out there where literally they bulldozed one of the tents of the man's hand is hanging out the bulldozer bed. So like, And what did they do with that area, you ask? I know it was asked somewhere out there in the internet. Is that they put cement blocks and spikes so nobody could sleep. And we got 2,235 families right now that are in limbo on places to go because we don't have no supports for our homeless families or homeless like individuals. It's rough out here in these DC streets. I don't know. We got 5 more minutes.
So I guess what we can do, if anyone has a question, but I want to say thank you to the people that are on here. I did not see Sherry Allen. Thank you, Sherry Allen. I love you. I missed you when I came. B. Marie, I did get to see B. Marie. Went to the library. I wasn't able to come back. I got so busy. I was happy to see her. I do miss the times when we used to have Clubhouse and talk. That's when we'd be able to talk to a lot of people. In these last 5 minutes, we can, if anyone has a question or drop our thought or things that you might want to talk about. This was us just talking about a little bit of the landscape, a little bit of my trip. And
listen, good people, we got a better show format for you. But right now, it was just a meet and greet. We wanted to come on here to honor our slot at 7 p.m., talk to you a little bit about the deficit that we're and the experiences that we're having in DC. What brought us to 810? And while we'll be sharing out how we're dealing with some of the issues that we're having in the city and collectively as a people to amplify our voices and make sure that we're heard and not pushed out. Let them know we're a part of the solution, not the problem. And we want to get out here and start helping to have collective conversation how we can get better organized, right? I hope that we had opportunity to talk about how do you organize off the grid, but we'll bring that back next time and we'll get some people in here from the community to help. We wanted to touch back on that issue about like how do you organize multi-generational spaces because it's needed. Everybody has presence, especially if you can vote, from the young to the old. And if you think about anything that you think will be great for the conversation, don't forget to shoot it out to Just Thought podcast space. You can send it to it in an email. We'll put that information up so you guys can get to it. And we always appreciate the opportunity from Mickey and the crew to let us talk about how we see us getting better as a collective, no matter what part of the city or state you're in. We all one band, one jam, man, and it's all about love and humanity.
I just want to encourage y'all in Flint. I know they're on vacation. But start writing down your testimonies. It does work. Testifying is a huge thing. A lot of people think you're just going over there to waste of time. You'll start hearing that from people. That's not true. Your voice needs to be heard. They got all these goofy rules. Just follow whatever goofy rules they have. And I pray and I pray and I pray that this week and this hot weather that we're about to go through and this rain we're about to go through, that you have a good weekend and that you feel love this weekend. And for the people in Flint, I love you. And for the people in DC, I love you. And I pray y'all do something this weekend. I did go to, what is that place called? The Farmers Market. I don't know why it's called the Farmers Market. To me, that's called a food hall, but they call it a Farmers Market in Flint. Went and stopped at the pudding place. I think it says no bananas pudding. Man, that pudding was so good. Stopped at the other place and had me some Lee's Kool-Aid. Couple places I walked through there got me this shirt, Flint. So support locals. The same thing. Go ahead.
Before we get out of here, we want to make sure that we say good evening to Pastor Nicholas. Guys, we got one of the guys on here, man. We done made it, boy. We got Bird and Baby. Did we say hello? If not, I'm saying hello.
Tara was on here.
Yvette said, with the gutting of the federal government, DC economy will suffer unless the city shifts to focus on other industries. Both DC and Maryland are looking to make them tech-centered. Let's discuss in the future. Bet, Yvette.
Yes, we will.
We'll make that happen. Oh, man, listen, we got a good blessing from the great Pastor Gaddis, and say God bless Mickey and 810 News Media Group, and I think that's a great way to end it.
Yes.
So we'll see you next Friday at 7 p.m. Peace.